exploring the potential for bog cranberries to Canadian Indigenous peoples and the country. Basic information. Bog cranberries refer to 4 different cranberry species under the same family. The berries have very similar characteristics and can be difficult to tell apart. Because of this, they all tend to be grouped together and used for the same purposes. The berries have been an important food for Indigenous people in Canada for many years. The names of the 4 types of berries come from a defining characteristic of that particular plant. The plants are low-lying with thin vines, flexible branches, and tiny round leaves. The plants feature a small pink flower and spherical or oval berries that turn red and are very tart when they're ripe. The cranberries are typically gathered up in August up until snowfall, and often again the following spring. They can even be harvested in the winter under desperate circumstances. They tended to be stored in birch containers outside in the winter or were sometimes dried with other berries or deer meat. Geographic origins. Bog cranberries are native to Canada and can be found growing in peat bogs and swampy areas across the country. The green and yellow on the map represents all of the peat bogs in Canada. The berries require acidic conditions to grow, and they thrive in areas that would be nutrient deficient for many other plants. Bog cranberries can also be found in Europe and some parts of Asia. Associated Indigenous peoples and historical background. The berries are found in many regions across Canada, so many different Indigenous groups across the country use these cranberries. Because of the diversity of the groups who use the berries, there are a large range of uses associated with them. There were many cranberries produced along the Fraser River Valley in British Columbia. Indigenous groups in this area often took the excess berries they harvested and traded them on Vancouver Island to other Indigenous groups as well as European settlers. The cranberries traded to settlers were often packaged in 100-pound barrels to be used on ships. Many Europeans who came to Canada became sick with scurvy on the voyage here. They eventually learned that cranberries could help to cure the sickness or prevent it from happening in the first place. The berries are very high in vitamin C, and scurvy is caused by vitamin C deficiency, but they didn't know that at the time. The Haida peoples, who are traditionally from Haida Gwaii off the coast of BC, call the cranberries da, meaning buy or to buy. This is because of the importance and amount of trade that went on with the berries. Consumption. The berries can be consumed in a number of different ways, and each Indigenous group has their own preferred way of consuming the cranberries. The berries were often stewed with fish eggs, or fat by the Woods Cree peoples. Groups in the coastal regions of BC often boiled the berries and ate them with deer meat or fish. They can also be dried out by cooking to be stored for the winter, and they can also be eaten fresh. More recently, they have been made into jams and jellies as well. The Ojibwe people typically boiled the leaves of the plant and used them to make a tea to soothe nausea, and Inuktitut people would smoke the leaves of the cranberry plant as a tobacco alternative. Benefits. Cranberries are known today as a health food for their high antioxidants and potential to cure UTIs. Cranberries are good for a lot more than that, though. They are found to be high in vitamin C, manganese, fiber, and carbohydrates. The berries, twigs, and bark of cranberry bushes have been used for several medicinal purposes by Canadian Indigenous groups for years. The berries were used in tea as a remedy for colds and sore throats, bladder and kidney issues, and to remove toxins from the blood. They were also used to help with stomach aches, appetite loss, and digestive problems. Potential. Unfortunately, the consumer cranberry market is already very saturated. Since the early 2000s, there has been a surplus of cranberries worldwide, and grower organizations voted to reduce production by 20% in 2017. This means that there isn't really room for more cranberries in the market, or at least in grocery stores. But this does not mean that all hope is lost. The medicinal potential of these cranberries is not fully known, and further research is needed to determine their full potential. Wild cranberries in the Moose Lake region were found to be very high in antioxidant properties in comparison to store-bought domesticated berries. This is something worth looking into. Many wetlands have been taken over due to agriculture and urban sprawl. If these habitats continue to be destroyed, many native plants will also be destroyed. There must be more emphasis on wetland protection in Canada if we want to keep bog cranberries around. Bog cranberries can store for a very long time without going bad, and new berries will not grow until the old ones are picked. In rural areas that are food insecure, if the growing conditions are correct, a community cranberry bog could be used where you take what you need, and if stored correctly, the berries wouldn't go bad and could keep through the winter.